Welcome to the Real Estate Focus Group. We meet here every other Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And today we've got Julie Reisner, broker, realtor, and friend. She's the head of Next Home One in Southwest Michigan, and she is a third generation entrepreneur. She does a ton of transactions, also won a ton of awards too. And she really personifies our motto of humans over houses. So I can't wait to hear about the connection method. So, Julie, take it away.
Thanks, Chuck. And Pat, I really appreciate you guys bringing me here today. I have a screen that I'm going to share with you guys, just a little presentation. Here's the thing. I know that that is an extremely bold statement. It's very bold even for me, and I am kind of a bold person, but I do believe that we have been taught to network all wrong. We have been taught to get more business cards, to go to networking events, shake hands, kiss babies, perfect our elevator pitch, and grow our followers on social media. And somewhere along the line, it became about getting versus giving. And I think that that's where we went wrong. Now, I'm not saying that those things are bad at all. All I'm saying is that they're an incomplete picture of what networking actually is and should be. So I think we've been asking the wrong question. I think the question that we should be asking is, who can I help? And that's the secondary part of networking. So most people walk into a room and they think, who can help me here? Who can help me? Who can I find? What relationship can I create to grow my sphere or to add to it? Or how can someone help me? And that's how we kind of drag people along with us, right? That's how we've been taught to network. But what if we ask the question, who can I help? And that one question really changes how you actually listen. And it also changes the conversations that you have. It changes relationships, and eventually it actually changes your business. Now, I hate cats. I have a cat in my presentation. You might be thinking, Julie, you're nuts. Why? Why do you have a cat in your presentation if you hate them so much? The truth is, I don't really hate them. I'm not that fond of them. I have two lovely little tiny itty bitty dogs. One is injured right now, Max and Ollie. I do have a grand cat. I love Dahlia, but I'm not really fond of cats. They just are silent and they're always jumping up on you, and I'm never quite sure where they are. So they freak me out a little bit. But the truth is that a cat changed how I think about networking and how I think about real estate and relationships. And I want to tell you how. So one day I was having my oldest high school graduation photos, and a girl that I went to high school with, her name is Kristen. She was taking the photos. My oldest was very into animals, was on a veterinary track, no longer, but was is working with animals. And so we took her photos out at my friend Kristen's farm. Well, if you know anything about farms, you know that they always have barn cats, right? And they're always trying to give barn cats away to anyone who comes to the farm. Kristen was no exception. She tried to get me to go home with not one, but two cats. And I'm like, girl, I do not want your cats. Keep them, love them, give them to someone who likes cats. So she kept the cats and we went on our merry way. And about, I don't know, a month later, now, I want to preface this part by saying I have lived, worked, and worshiped in the greater Southwest Michigan area my whole life. I know a few people. I joke that I was in the Dutch Mafia, or still am. My maiden name was Vanderkoy. So, yes, very Dutch. And I am a third generation entrepreneur. So, we know a lot of people. But the funny thing is I'm also very active on social media. And on social media, right, it's all about the followers, or so I thought. And so I'm always on social posting and reading DMs and all of that. And someone messaged me this: Julie, we are looking to add to our family. Do you know of anyone looking to get rid of a cat? I hate cats. Why are you messaging me? I'm like, good gravy, I hate cats. That is how this all started. Well, I sat there and I thought, y'all, I am in real estate. And in my solo focus, I was using social media for real estate, not realizing it had a bigger connection, right? And so my first thought was, I hate cats. Why are you reaching out to me? My second thought was, oh my gosh, last month when I was at Kristen's, girl tried to give me two cats. I bet she is still trying to get rid of them cats. So, of course, I call her and I say, hey, girl, hey, those cats. She goes, yeah, you want them? I said, I do not. I do not want them. But guess what? Someone reached out to me and they want them. So, is it okay if I connect you to? Long story short, the cats found a home, lived happily ever after, not just one cat, but two cats. And so that is the cat story. But this is the crazy part of all of this, you guys. That cat connection turned into 22 transactions. So there's a funny story in my circle of, hey, you're part of the I Hate Cats story. And these people know they are part of the I Hate Cats story. In fact, they'll introduce themselves and they'll say, oh, yeah, Julie's I Hate Cats story. That's me. I'm part of it, started it. I'm number 18 or whatever. And sure enough, that cat story started the spiral of I Hate Cats. So it went from, why are you contacting me about a cat? I'm just here for real estate, to actual real estate. Which, the funny thing is, the cat didn't sell a house. It was the conversation and the connection that did. The relationship did. And that is the part that was missing in just the simple networking. So one conversation became another, and then another, and another. And then eventually, 22 transactions later, here we are. But it had nothing to do with marketing harder, talking louder, talking faster. It was because I started listening different. It's because I started connecting better. It's because I started pausing and standing in the gap for people. So here's what I realized. This is me, right? Everybody is their own bubble, right? Everybody has a bubble around them. Now just think, this is me. Well, then we added on Kristen. Kristen is the one who had the cats, still has barn cats to this day. However many years later, let's see, my oldest is now almost 27. So you can imagine we are 9 years into this, 22 transactions, 9 years. Do the math, it's pretty good money. But that's not the point of this. The point is that Kristen now is the relationship that started all of this, because she had the cats. Kristen introduced me to Chantel. So I connected Kristen with the person who wanted the cat. A month after that, Kristen and Chantel called me and said, hey, Julie, I have a question for you. Yeah, what's up? No, I don't want any more cats. Don't need them. Still no. They said, no, we know that. We get it. You hate cats, but we do have a cottage for you to sell. I said, now we're talking. This is my real house, you guys. This is it. Okay, right? So I went on to sell their cottage that they had bought together. Chantel's family and Kristen's family, they had bought it together. They wanted to sell it. I sold it. It was the cutest little cottage on this lake that served their family very well. So then Chantel was introduced to me. I didn't know her before. So now I have a connection with Chantel, who then introduced me to her son, Carson. I have bought and sold 3 times with Carson, who is a phenomenal person. In fact, up until 2 years ago, he was the youngest person that I have ever bought and sold with. He was 18 when he bought his first house. It's a great story. And then he kept it as an investment, rented it out. He got started his financial security from doing that. And so I got to play a small role in that story. And then Chantel and her husband Todd, who I love dearly, he is in the theater, which is a really cool story. Pat, you would really connect with him because he's theatrical and just a really neat person. They decided that next year they are going to sell their family home, and they went and bought 70 acres, and they are going to do a parcel split, which if you buy 70 acres up here, that's a lot of acreage. Now I don't know where it is, how it is from where you guys are. Idaho Falls, probably that's just a little drop in the bucket, but maybe in Florida, that's like you could never buy that. Up here, that's a lot of land. So Chantel introduced me to her dad, who recently passed away. His name was Mr. Stone, Jack Stone, rest his soul. And so we had to sell Mr. Stone's house. And so we sold that house. Well, in the process, Chantel got the inheritance. And instead of taking that money and doing something selfish with it, her and Todd said, you know what? We're going to buy this 70 acres. We're going to parcel split it, and we're going to parcel it off for each of our children. They have 4 children, and each child will get a section to build their future dream house with their spouse somewhere along the way. We don't know when, but that is going to be our legacy. That's the gift. And it all starts with Jack, Papa Jack. And so one day we, I was, we were closing on the property, and we were going to have a big party bonfire out at the property. And so I called Todd and I said, Todd, I said, I want to do something really cool. And I think we should name the property. And he goes, that's a brilliant idea. And he and his daughter were already thinking of it. And I said, I want to do something for your family, but I need to know what you guys want to name the property. And so we came up with the name Stonehaven after Jack Stone. It's a haven for their family. And so I had this huge copper sign made, like maybe in Idaho Falls, Corey, like those big um, farm signs that you see over the driveway when you're driving in. So I had one of those made in Stonehaven, and we went out and we christened the property, and I had a big bonfire and everything. Now, granted, we may have been a little tipsy at that point because I brought a lot of champagne. But I gave them the sign, and Chantel, with tears in her eyes, looked at all 4 of her children. And now, mind you, Kristen's 4 children are also there, along with family friends. So it's their families and their kids and friends. And there's probably 40 of us there. Chantel, with tears in her eyes, looked at everyone, pointed a finger, and said, if any one of you buys or sells real estate in the state of Michigan without using Julie, you're dead to me. I don't care if you're my child or not. That is the loyalty that connections make. Now, I don't know if that would actually happen, but I appreciate the gesture. I'm not going to hold her to it though. Okay. So we then created Stonehaven. Chantel, across from Jack's house, lived the Betts. The Betts have become my #1 investor clients. In fact, when they get back, their daughter just had a baby in the Carolinas, South Carolina, actually, Leanne, not North Carolina by you, South Carolina. They're down there right now. Little baby decided to come 4 weeks early. So she's in the NICU. So they're down there helping. but the bets have become my best investors. Now I've got the Roberts. The Roberts have a house they need to sell. They need to sell it quickly. They unfortunately had a bad situation. The bets are probably going to be the buyers for that. That was another connection I was able to make. The Betts introduced me to their son Grayson, who was a first time home buyer and military. I love working with our military. Another person and bubble added to my wheel that I would not have known if it not been for this stupid cat. Okay. Let's go on. We've got Kristen introduced me to her son-in-law, Nick, who needed to sell his house. And then Nick and Kinsey bought a house. They've since had two gorgeous children, Sunny and Georgia. I love watching those children grow up. One thing to know about me is I'm funty. I'm fun auntie, a little feral, but they're always welcome here. And they will get a popsicle at 7 in the morning because that's just how I do. Now, with Kristen, we went to high school together. I also went to high school with Ben. So now Ben called me. Ben also needs to sell his house. He introduced me to Wayne, and now Wayne needs a house for the greenhouse he owns. So now you can see that my wheel and bubble just expanded because I started thinking of stop collecting business cards, stop wondering what people can do for me, and start leaning in and listening. What can I do for others? How can I help? And that's how you start to grow your wheel, because I was never building a database. I was building an entire community. And each one of the people on the screen, I could connect with one another because of the trust transfer that I now have built with each person in the wheel. I could connect Grayson with Wayne and Nick with Carson and any person on my wheel, because the trust transfer goes to me no matter how far apart they are, because that trust lives within those spokes that I've created. Does that make sense, you guys? It's just such a beautiful thing.
I love this. I think the circles are so powerful. That's what I wrote. I mean, really it is. It's very like you don't realize I love the thing, who can I help, not who can help me.
Right. And
Yeah, I love that. I took notes already.
oh, good, good. I'm so glad,
No,
Pat.
this is a good reminder of, it comes around full circle,
It does.
It
It does.
does.
And if we're so, and I have something later, but if we're so focused on just our own circle, it's really hard in life, in business, in anything that we do. Because the one thing I know, I have a lot of skills, but I am not an expert in everything. No one is, right? But I darn well know who to call. I darn well know who to call. And that is building connections. And that's becoming the right person with the right wheel around them and a big enough wheel around them. It doesn't happen overnight, you guys, right? But that's the power of building your community and showing the relationships that you have and becoming that one resource and trusted person that everybody calls you, whether it's because of a freaking cat or wanting to buy or sell real estate. So, what I want you guys to do, if you will, is please grab a piece of scrap paper and draw just yourself in the circle like I did. Now, I like to say that this really isn't an exercise, this is your future. And I know that that sounds very grand, but I'm also going to issue a challenge at the end of this. because I think that this is really the way that you're going to change the way that you think if you don't already think this way, because it's super powerful and it literally changed my life. And I don't say that lightly. So, do you all have yourself in the middle of your wheel?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, draw one spoke. I only want you to draw one spoke up. And I want you to draw a circle there. And I just want you to I want you to write in there one person who surprised you, um, maybe somebody who has influence over you, maybe somebody who has a talent that you don't have. Like Zach. My friend Zach is a brilliant scripter. And we all know that scripting in our business is key to success. And so anytime I'm struggling with the words, like I'm a good storyteller, Zach is not a great storyteller. He is a great scripter. I'm not a great scripter. So that would be somebody that would be on my spoke because he has something I don't, right?
Mhm.
You could have a photographer on here, right? I'm not great at residential photography. I've got a really nice phone. I don't take my own photos. That is a hot button for me. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit wheel. I'm not even going to go down there, Julie. Let it go. But anyway, it could be a photographer on your wheel, right? My friend Rick is beautiful at photography. He's just got an eye. So it could be somebody who has a different talent than you. Maybe it is somebody who speaks a different language than you. Do you all work in areas that have a client base that you might need a different language? We have a very huge Spanish speaking population here because I told you I was in the Dutch mafia. What are they known for? Greenhouses. I showed you my wheel with Ben and I showed you my wheel with Wayne and I said I'm in the greenhouses. They hire a lot of Spanish speaking individuals. Well, when we house them, I need to have a translator come in. So I have to have a specialist on my wheel that I can call at the drop of a hat, that I've got a trust transfer with, that I can say, "Hey, Noe, can you come help me? I need a translator for this situation." Right? Because I mean, yeah, I could probably do it with an app on my phone, but how impersonal is that? That's not humans over houses.
Mhm.
That's not Julie.
Mhm.
That's AI and tech, which yeah, I am a little bit, but so are you starting to see how your wheel is growing?
Yes.
I love that. So I want you to just take your wheel. I want you to set it aside right now. Now, I know you guys are going to be obsessing about your wheel, who's going to be added to it, who you can continue to add to it, and all that, but set it aside for right now because we're going to come back to it, okay? Okay. 150 meaningful relationships. Does anyone know what that number means? That number is actually a statistic. Now, I'm a huge data nerd, so I love my stats to back up my slides. And that is what researchers estimate the average person can maintain in meaningful relationships. I am not talking about the 4,700 followers that I have on social media. Not talking about them. Now that sounds like a large number. It's not. I bet maybe like 3 of them, and one of them is my mom actually follow me. Okay. Um, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who you know what's going on in their life, right? Meaningful relationship for me. My friend Ruth, she is my neighbor. She's one of my best friends. She lives right next door. We meet over the fence for coffee, usually in the mornings, sometimes a cocktail at night, but we won't go there. She is having open heart surgery tomorrow. I'm very concerned for her. That is a meaningful relationship. I've got her daughter-in-law in my phone, queued up and ready to go to follow up with her tomorrow. That's a meaningful relationship. I know when the meals are going to be delivered. I know what her husband wants to eat and what he doesn't want to eat. Like that's a meaningful relationship, right? That's the next level of, hey, how's it going? Right? That's not social media. So you know 150 people. Now look at your wheel. The people you put on your wheel, they each have 150 meaningful relationships. Now, if you can connect that spoke and create a trust transfer within that spoke, think of the reach. Go back to the visual, Pat, that you liked of my wheel with my circles. Each one of those people, and I had give or take, I don't know, 9, 10 on there. If they each have 150 people on there, think of the reach that I have. That has nothing to do with real estate. It has to do because I care. It has to do because I live day to day, humans over everything, not humans over houses. I actually live by a little different motto, which is humans over everything. Houses, yes, I happen to sell houses. So you know 150 people, they know 150 people, then they know 150 people, and you get it, right? There's opportunity there. You don't need a bigger network, you guys. You just need to be able to see the network that you have already and know what questions to ask. So I say this a lot. This is a colorful representation of the wheels. Now, do you see the wheels are being built while we are talking? I love this because some are overlaid, some they're going faster, some are going slower. You've got multiple spokes going here or there, and it's very, very colorful. And I love what this represents. But life would be so lonely if we didn't create those relationships. And if it was only us and only our circle, man, would we be missing out. So I say that opportunity lives between the spokes. What do I mean by that? It's really my favorite concept of all of this. My friend Jade, you'll see her dog in just a minute. She has 2 therapy dogs, Pablo Escobar and Peanut. It's P-nut. They're therapy dogs. A talent I did not know Jade had was, do you guys know those beautiful cupcakes when you go into like a $9 cupcake bakery? You know what I'm talking about. Like they are so ornate, you do not want to eat it. It's like a display cupcake. Jade makes those. And not only are they beautiful, they taste so good. Now, she stepped out of the cupcake business, but she's recently stepped back into that business. I found that out recently. So, what do you guys think I'm going to do? I'm going to look for opportunities to help Jade grow that business. I don't know if I'm ever going to help Jade buy or sell a house. That's not important to me. What's important to me is that she is successful in what she wants to do, because that's what a true connector does. And I'm just building my wheel with the trust connection. So I now am looking at social media different. Instead of walking into the room, proverbial room, if you will, and seeing who can help me, I'm looking for opportunities for the people on my wheel. So Jade, who does these amazing cupcakes, I'm in a ton of mom groups just because that's the nature of me being a mom and what I do and all of that. And so anytime I see anyone mention cupcakes, I will tag Jade. Anytime I see anyone needing insurance, I tag the person I know who does insurance. Anytime I see somebody wants those, those why, oh man, I must be hungry. Those fancy buttercream cookies, I tag Hannah, right? Now, please, for the love of all that is holy, anyone listening in my sphere right now, do not tell me you want to start a business, because I will have a business plan. I will have a website. I will have you on Etsy. I will have things bought, printed, sold, and delivered to your house tonight. Thanks to Mr. Amazon. Because I'm an entrepreneur. That's what I do, right? But when somebody tells me their hopes and their dreams, I want them to achieve it, because nothing lights you up like achieving your hopes and dreams. So when I hear cupcakes, I think of Jade. When my husband hears cupcakes, he thinks, that sounds really good for dessert. There's a difference there in how we think and how we hear. I hear opportunity. When I hear, I wish I knew, I think, who can I connect them to? Who has that skill? Because it's usually not me, right? Very rarely does somebody come to you and say, I wish I knew how to buy and sell houses. Very rarely, right? I mean, sometimes they do their FISBOs. We don't want to work with them anyway. I said it. Sorry. I don't hear things like I'm struggling. I hear things like I'm not doing okay. And then I think, who can I put them in touch with, or what gap can I stand in? I hear, how can I help? What can I do? Who do I know that can stand in the gap with me and hold my hand to make such a tight connection, like an intertwined rope, that that person doesn't get lost? Because it is lonely out there, and it is so easy to get lost. The connector doesn't hear problems, they hear possibilities. They sense solutions that might not even be a problem spoken, because they listen with a different ear. So that's why opportunity lives between the spokes. It's listening to the unspoken. So with the connector method, we talk a lot about the care. And care is a little different than Ford. You guys are all familiar with Ford questions, right? Ford is what we do when we're asking people their opportunity. Now I'm going to forget what freaking Ford is. We ask them Ford questions.
Yeah, family,
Family,
opportunity.
opportunity,
Relationship.
What's the R?
Relationship.
Relationship.
Yeah, like their relationships.
And
dreams,
D is
dreams, right?
I don't know.
Yep. So that's Ford. And that is really, it is getting to know people, but it's a little bit different approach than the care method. Care method has always come from curiosity, right? As the great Dr. Phil says, no matter how flat the pancake, there's always two sides. That's my joke, because I think a lot of people come from assumption, right? They hear something and they assume that they're already going into problem solving mode before they actually ask the next question, right? But connectors are actually listening for the unspoken. So we always come from curiosity. We also come from awareness. Like, we know we don't know all that we should know, or we know we aren't the solution for every problem, right? We also know we need to expand our network. And we also need more resources. And that is how we can grow our network. So we want to be able to ask better questions. We want to pay attention. We don't need all the answers. We just need to know where they might be. And that comes from knowing people. And then we want to expand. Most people stop after awareness, but we actually take action. So that's the care side of the questions. So it's actually taking the forward questions, but just going a little deeper and not stopping at the surface. A lot of times when we walk into a room, I don't know about you guys, but every time I go somewhere, people are like, so what do you do? I'm like, I'm a realtor. Or if I want to get a little fancy, I say I'm a broker, realtor, and friend. And then they look at me and they're like, we don't know what that means, but good on you. I'm a I'm a physical therapist. And I'm like, good on you, you know. But what I really want to know is, what's your dream? What do you want to do? If you didn't have to make money like US dollars at physical therapy, what would you do? What leap? Oh, you want to buy a 3D printer? That's my latest obsession, by the way, 3D printing. You want to buy a 3D printer and go to craft shows? Yeah, I got you. I know who to call, my friend Josh. He'll help you out. Right? Like it doesn't have to be that deep, but it's the next level. Being aware that there's more than just I am a realtor, right? Does that make sense, you guys? So it's caring. It's like literally in the name. So let's talk about connector questions. Some of my favorites are, what are you excited about? Like, what gets your eyes lit up? Now, let's take my husband for an example. He does not know that I'm talking about him in this presentation. My husband does not get lit up by talking about working in a mint factory. He doesn't. He comes home smelling like the Dickens. I mean, I guess it's better than a fertilizer company, but he doesn't get lit up by that. I mean, he gets fired up sometimes when things go wrong, but he doesn't get lit up by that. What my man gets lit up about? Golf. 24/7, 365, he would be on the golf course. And I let him because it makes him happy. His eyes light up like mine do when I have a tea time for Mahjong. It's tile time. For those of you who don't know Mahjong, we play with tiles. It's me when I get to play with my 3D printer. It's me when I get to be funty and take my little faux nieces and nephews out for donuts. Okay. What are you excited about? That's a connector question. That's going a level deeper. What challenge are you trying to solve? Now, this could even be on the job. What challenge are you trying to solve? Oh, you're trying to find a widget for this problem? Oh my gosh. Well, listen, I happen to know an engineer and they're super duper smart. And when they talk, my brain shuts down because I don't think like them. But you know what? They might be able to figure out a widget for your problem. So let me connect you. Who do you wish you knew? Do you wish you somebody who had a boat because you want to learn how to fish? I know somebody who has a boat. I know somebody who likes to fish. Guess what? It's not me. It's not. I don't like it. I don't eat fish. I don't like to fish. I don't like to touch them. I don't like to touch worms. I don't like to do none of that. Now, if it is a nice sunset and I have a good cocktail, I do not mind cruising around the lake at a slow speed. Okay. Beyond that, not a boat girly. I'm a cement pond girly. I like to float in my pool. But Corey, you want to learn to fish? You want to learn to boat? You want to learn anything about boating? Let's call up Will. He's got a boat. He can teach you. But that's how your wheels work. You're connecting between the spokes. That's your question. That's going deeper. Corey, I know you're a realtor. You're on here. I don't know what, I mean, I know you like horns. I see horns in your background. So you must love to like gun, shoot, hunt, or bow and arrow. That's your jam, right? Maybe because you like the horns. So you know what? That's not my thing. But now I know you do. So now if somebody says, Julie, I want to go out to Idaho and I want to hunt. Well, do I have the person for you? My friend Corey, right? Now, if I know somebody wants a cute little car down in Florida to take photos at, guess who I'm calling? Chuck and Pat. I know somebody who wants to tour around North Carolina and is north of Lake Norman. Guess who I'm calling? Leanne. So that's how my wheel grew just today. Isn't that cool? When you just really take time to think about how these connections are made, it's like the neurons in your brain. The biggest, best question is, how can I help? But then stop. Jim Fischetti said last week, and my grandmother used to say it to me all the time because I was, believe it or not, a yapper. I was a yapper. Got in trouble in school for it, in fact. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should listen twice as much as you talk, right? That's what Jim Fischetti told me last week. Now, I do want to say he didn't say it directly to me. He said it while I was in the room. But how can I help? And then stop. Listen. Because that's where you're going to know what spoke they belong on, what trust transfer you're going to be able to assist them with. My grandmother was famous for asking a question, and you'd know darn well, because you could see it in her eyes. She was thinking about the next question while you were answering the first question. She was never listening to your answer. Now, bless, my mother does that. I'm trying to break that legacy, you guys. I'm really trying. And it is hard sometimes because I get really excited about things. Really excited, especially when I ask, how can I help? And then like they say how I can help them. And I'm like I'm already putting the puzzle together. And I'm like, I have to connect you with so-and-so because they're going to be able to help you. And then I could have Amazon Prime to your house tonight. And that solution will be solved. Right. And so I tend to do that. So I don't pause, but the beauty is in the pause because they feel seen and heard. And then you actually might be able to uncover the hidden need behind the spoken need. And that is what's amazing. So those are connector questions. And that, how can I help you, is the simplest, most unused question that I can bestow upon you. Visibility does not create opportunity. You know, all those TikTok dances and all those people chasing the followers and all of the what are they called, the influencers, you know what I'm talking about, right? The Kardashians of the world. Visibility does not create opportunity. In fact, I would argue that visibility actually creates a lot of loneliness because most of it is fake. Value creates visibility. When you create value to the people around you, and you are continually pouring into them, that is when you become your most visible. Do you guys know someone that they seem to get all the opportunities and their name is always coming up in conversations? Now, you don't have to say if it's you or not, but you know those people, right? It's like, oh, well, you should know Beth. Beth. Oh, Beth. She's great at pickleball. She's great at mahjong. Oh, she's great, Beth. Oh, Beth is so smart. Beth, right? Like Beth. I'm just saying, the reason why Beth's name is in everybody's mouth is because Beth has done a phenomenal job at creating value in her reel and spreading it out, asking, how can I help to create visibility? So, of course, Beth is going to be the one that people notice. She's going to be the one that when people are struggling, they go to. The one that when they're creating something new, they go to Beth because Beth just has excitement for them naturally with no agenda. So they go to Beth. And Beth's value that she has poured into her community, and by community, I mean her circles and her wheel, that has created visibility for Beth. So when I started creating value, people noticed. When I stopped making it about me and about them, they noticed. When I started highlighting businesses, people noticed. In fact, I had someone not too long ago reach out to me. In fact, I think Chuck and Pat, you know Kate, my assistant. Kate called me the other day and said, hey, our friends who own this restaurant in town, they had a car accident. And so they had to shut down for a couple of days and they were struggling. And she called me and she goes, hey, I know you know a lot of people and your social network is really broad. So will you please post about Italian Papa sausage and just let them know that they're open and they need business. And I'm like, abso-freaking-lutely. So for 5 days, I posted about them. They saw an influx in their business. That didn't have to do with me. It just has to do with I have a big circle because I create value. And so when I mention something, people pay attention, right? Because I've worked really hard at this. This did not happen overnight. This is something I have done for 55 years on this earth. I'll give myself the grace of the first 10 years on this earth. I probably wasn't doing it. I'm selfish. Maybe up to 25 years I didn't do it. Okay. So let's say 30 years. For about 30 years, I've been doing this. Okay. Pouring into others so that way I could create some visibility for myself. When I promoted nonprofits, they got highlighted. I used to have a charity that I ran for that every month highlighted a different charity in my community. And then COVID happened, so we had to die that off. I'd like to bring that back, but people came out in troves to support that just because they want to help. They didn't know where to help, right? So that translates to real estate too, because now I get the calls. Listen, yes, I do this because I want to grow my reach and I am a true connector. This has profited my business because now my business is SOI only. And now I get the calls that so-and-so told so-and-so who told so-and-so that I have to call you. Chantel is telling her children they will be blacklisted if they don't call me, right? Like that is the value that I've created that created the visibility. I put it on a senior presentation for seniors because I think they're a very underserved population, especially in Michigan. And so that is, my dad is very medically complex and has dementia and cancer. So I take care of them. And he's also my hero. So that's them. This is my fire pit where I spend a lot of time. To the left of me is Miss Ruth, who's having open heart surgery. My daughter is on the Pride spectrum, so this is her month and her partner's month, so I celebrate them. This is Kate's daughter, Sloan, and Kate couldn't go to Sloan's field day, so Funty showed up. This is a car show that Caleb did that we sponsored. But you can see here, this is all the stuff that we do. Oh, this is a fun one. I sponsored the West Michigan Little League taxi service, which brings the seniors and people with different abilities from the parking lot to the Little League fields so they can watch their family members and loved ones play Little League, because we found that there was a very big problem with getting people from way away from the parking lot to the fields. And people like my dad wouldn't be able to go watch Sloane and Declan play because there was no way to get him to the field. And so, yep, that's now the next home one taxi service. So very proud of that one. This one is, we are court number 3 at the Friendly Pickle. So we sponsored the Friendly Pickle one. This is, I don't know if you know anything about it. If you don't have kids, you don't know, but they're called viral. They're called viral buns, and they're very big. They're like squishy buns like this, and they're huge, very hard to get, by the way. So one day I went to a lot of stores and I spent a lot of money buying a ton of them. And I just went around to my littles that I love and gave them out. This is our, this is the, oh, we have Yappy Hour where we love to drink coffee and pet dogs. Nothing more than that. So people come. Remember, I told you about Jade who does the cupcakes? This is her dog here. This is Peanut, P-nut, with the Next Home One bandana on. We just did a party. We had face painting. Here's me mahjonging. So this is my life. This is my wheel. This is a very small portion of it. I could have a lot more on there, but yeah, I'm really proud when I look at this and I see the effect that my small life has made on my community. So here's my challenge for you guys. I want you to pull your wheel back out. I told you we'd visit it later, and I know I'm running out of time, you guys, so I'm going to be done here soon. I promise you that. Don't change your life overnight. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't freak out that your wheel is small. That is okay. I told you I've been working on this for 30 years. This is literally something that I have been working on and refining, and every day I tune the dials on this. So for the next 3 months, I want you to work on your wheel. That's my challenge. Every week, I want you to ask one better question. Go deeper. I want you to make one introduction, create one opportunity, and I want you to make that one extra special post on social media. Shout out a business, connect people, whatever that looks like. Create an opportunity for someone, whatever that looks like, but live out loud, because you are creating the trust transfer. Now, when you do that, once a week, I want you to look at your wheel and I want you to see who you can add to the wheel. Every week, I want you to really try to use a different color. That's kind of important. Or a different font or something. However you decide to differentiate it, maybe put a little star or a heart or something. However you want to do it. But the reason why I ask you to do that is because every week I want you to put some new connections that you thought of. Because over the next 90 days, your brain is going to be retrained and you're going to start to think differently. And you're going to be able to start to add people to your wheel. And then at the 90-day mark, I want you to be able to celebrate and see that big, beautiful rainbow of all the people that you have expanded on your wheel because you are now a connector. And that is what you have done selflessly because you want to grow in your community with your community. And I think that that's super important for you, especially right now during real estate, because we are in a very hard season. I don't know about you guys, but we have been in a really hard to calibrate season right now. And so I have to keep going back to my wheel and remembering what I'm thankful for and remembering that it's more than real estate. I have a lot more to give than just real estate. The true measure of a connector is not how many opportunities they receive, but it is in how many opportunities they create. And that, my friends, is the connector method. What questions do you have for me?
What questions don't I have? So I am a very big connector and I've written down a lot of notes. And so um, one thing that I've always done, even before I was with Next Home, I'm going even back when I was a social worker for 25 years, I was always the connector. And like,
Yes.
yeah, but I'm going to say something here. So, how do you help people learn that you are truly a connector? I've had people reach out to me for the most obscure, crazy stories of things, and they think that I can get it done, and I do. Uh, and I help them achieve what they want, and then that's it. Like it ends there, kind of thing. If I can give you an example, I can give you an stupid example. So I had this crazy lady reach out to me. I think it was through text, and it actually was a friend of Chuck's, and she said her Gucci purse broke or something like that. It was a very expensive purse in the thousands of dollars. Okay, well, what do I look like?
Right.
So,
Right.
all right, I was trying to help her out. And I called up either the manufacturer or somebody up in Manhattan. And I said, I'm helping a friend of mine out, her Gucci purse, this and this and this. And I didn't even have a receipt. I didn't know how old it was. I didn't know anything. They sent her a new Gucci purse. Like, okay, so that happens all the time. But then that's like it. Like, so my question was, how do I really help people learn that I am a connector, but I'm more than that. If that makes
I
any
get that.
sense.
No, I understand that, right? And I think the quote is once burned, twice shy, right? And I don't mean that in that you were looking for something from her in the exchange, right? But
No, I wasn't at
you
all.
But that
do,
was an anomaly.
But things like that happen all the time,
they
though,
do.
where like I'll have somebody reach out and say, I need this and this and this. And, we know so many people just like everyone on this call does.
Sure.
And
I
that's
think
it,
I'll challenge you then.
you
I
know.
think I think that I'll challenge you then, right? Because in a case like that, you have one of two ways to go with that. You can one, do it for them, or two, enable them to do it for themselves, right? Either way is the right way. There's not a wrong way to do it. It's just how you want to do it and what you have the capacity for, right? In
Yes.
that moment. Okay. So, my challenge to you is because, yes, as a connector and as an empath, because I'm also an empath, I tend to get very worn down fast and then need to recharge. And so, what I would then turn around and say, if you find yourself in that position and it's happening, even if it's one offs, like Chuck said, it was an anomaly, but if it is one offs, maybe every fifth time or every third time or second time, I don't know, whatever the count that makes sense for Pat is, you give them the tools to do it themselves. Because what happens when you do that? 90% of the people will not follow through, right? But yet, you still create the trust transfer. You just didn't do the work for them. I call it tush pushing from the 50-yard line. If you guys, my son played college football. I like football. So it's when people tush push, they get behind them at the 1 yard line and push them into the field goal or into the goal, right? That's called the tush push. Philadelphia coined that. If you didn't know what that was, but some people are like this, right? Some people are like at the 50-yard line and they got their feet and their hands out, and no matter what, like you're giving them every solution and you're tush pushing them from the 50-yard line. They're never going to make it. They're just not going to do it. And you got to cut that off because you have other people to help, right? So I'm going to challenge you that two things. One, figure out what your number is and then enable them to do it themselves. And number two is wrap it around. Okay, Miss Ma'am Gucci Purse. Listen, you know anyone who wants to buy and sell real estate? You know anyone who wants to buy and sell real estate? Who do you know that is going to be buying and selling real estate this year? Because it's not a bad thing to tie it back to real estate. It's that you don't want to lead everything with real estate. Do you see the difference there?
Sure do.
So I think that in your case, in a sense like that, I mean, I would probably do it once, as heck, I wouldn't do it again. Especially if she got the Gucci and I did not. I
I have
mean,
an
yeah,
I have an odd one for you.
sure.
And I think it relates. I'm with Bikers Against Bullies,
Yo,
and
you're the first person I've ever met that actually does that, but I follow that on social media.
oh yeah, yeah, I'm one of their inner circle guys. But we were at a
That's
meeting,
amazing.
and a gal came to me and she goes, "Odd request. Do you know anybody that can engrave an urn?" It was for her mother-in-law. And
Mhm.
I said, as a matter of fact, I do. I get all my cutting boards done by this guy. He does all my embroidery. And I hook those guys up together. I said,
Yes,
Chelsea, meet Aaron. Aaron, meet Chelsea. Let's go. And
yes.
since then, they've kept me up to date on the urn. Is absolutely gorgeous.
Mm.
They both did a great job. And I think we've got a great relationship just from that one simple little question.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Now, how cool is that you put these two people together? Earn
and Bikers Against Bullies. It was really fun.
Catalyst was biker with bullies. I mean, I don't know, but I'll take 700 don't belong together, Alex. You know what I'm saying? Like,
The only combo is a cutting board. That's the only link.
but how cool was that, Corey, that first of all, they came to you
Mhm.
and thought, my favorite is when they preface it with, okay, this is going to be an odd one.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Yep.
I love those.
I am not scared. Not
No,
even a bit.
I'm like, listen, you are not, this is not going to be the oddest thing I hear yet today. So but that is such a cool thing you can put right on your reel,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Yeah, I
And
kept thinking about that story when you were telling it. I'm like,
yeah,
that's something I was doing, but not realizing.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
that makes my heart just sing because no, because that's like what this whole training is about getting you, and I'm just saying you, Corey, to look at things just a little different because you just thought you were doing something nice for a friend.
Mhm.
That's all you thought. You thought, oh yeah, I'm doing something nice. Whatever, it's a freaking urn. And and then I happen to get a cutting board too, right? Great. But what you didn't realize was, and I want you to hear me on this, somebody in their most vulnerable moment, an urn for their mother, trusted you to say,
Mm.
I need this engraved because it is her legacy. That's what happened.
Wow.
It okay. I just got the goosebumps. But that's the trust transfer. That's the story. It isn't, I have an urn. I need it engraved. Who do you know? This is her mother's final resting place, Corey. Do you realize the impact that you have on that?
Wow. At the time, no, but since they've kept me involved on how it looks in the end, and everybody's super happy, and he's got a new client, she's got the urn. It turned out to be just amazing, and it was literally a 30-second conversation, and I sent them each other's contact info.
Yeah.
It literally took no effort whatsoever.
And now I'm going to tie it back to real estate because that is what we do for a living. And that is how we pay our bills with US dollars, right? So now you have their contact information, right? And there are ways to subtly market, not in your face, not like high pressure sales. And Pat, this is going to be a little different than what I said to you, which is, do you know anyone looking to buy or sell in 2026, right? Corey, you might be dripping on them a newsletter that might include your Bullies Club newsletter or something else that ties who is Corey together. I just did a social post that said, hey, some of you are new here. Nobody's new here, but nobody else seems to know that. And I said, this is who Julie is. Because why? I've changed. I've changed. But allow me to reintroduce myself, right? So that's what you do, Corey. And now they'll tie it back to real estate because you've now created the trust transfer. Now you just have to create the trust transfer with the real estate. Does that make sense?
It does. No, it does.
It's not the high pressure sales. So they're not going to do the Heisman with you. They're not going to be like, oh, Corey just did that because he wants her real estate. Mom's dead. He wants her estate. That is not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is they're going to be like, Corey, remember when he connected us with the engraver? You know what? Now we need something else. And we need to go back to Corey. And that's the legacy that you're creating, my friend. And so that's how you tie it back to your living. Okay. I hope that helps.
Oh, it does. I love your story. This has been a great presentation.
Yay. I'm so glad.
This was fabulous. It was so good. We all needed it.
Thank you so much, Julie. This was a master class.
Yeah, it sure was.
Hey, I'm so glad. Thanks, you guys. I'm so glad.
Who did you have deliver the elderly? Because in my new town, we have the biggest thing in town is the football game. So
Yeah.
I love your idea of transporting people because I took care of my dad and I totally relate. So who was it that took them to the field?
Yes. So we have multiple schools in our geographic area.
Okay.
This happens to be it's one of our schools is called West Portage.
Okay.
West Portage has their own little league. It's a very large program.
Okay.
And so they raised, here's a cat story, you guys. They raised money. Okay, hold on a second. I have to press pause because this one goes around the horn a minute. So my friend Kate bought and sold a house from me long time ago. She was a runner. My husband was a runner. So I connected with a bunch of the runners. Kate's sister Carolyn, okay, so follow me. This is the wicked path. Kate's sister Carolyn does voice work. Now, when I say voice work, that means like she is does sports. If you've heard of Western Michigan University, which is a big university in my town, my neighbor Ruth, who's having the open heart surgery, her husband Robin is the voice of the Broncos. So he does all the sports broadcasting for the Broncos. Okay, so Carolyn is his understudy, and he does all the boys' sports. She does all the girls' sports. Well, I got to know Carolyn because her sister Kate. Following me so far?
Wow.
Okay. So Carolyn had a friend, Caitlin. Well, because of this all triangular trust transfer of all of us, Caitlin needed to buy a house. Carolyn said, if you don't call Julie, you're crazy. So Carolyn called me. I sold their house, helped them buy a house. Carolyn's son is an all-star on the West Portage Little League. So she literally made a social post and said, we have this rickety old golf cart that we're looking for sponsors to raise money because it's in poor condition, and here is what we want to do. So Caitlin posted that. Carolyn and Caitlin are friends. She tagged me. She goes, girl, this is right up your alley. And I'm like, oh, shoot. So within 5 minutes, I was tagged. I started a fundraiser. We got that thing fully funded within a couple hours because I've got massively generous friends. And we dumped that golf cart because it was actually a POS. And we got a new one. And with the generous help of some other business owners, we got more sponsors so we could buy even a better one. And now the person who drives it is whomever is available. Like they have a whole sign up. I would drive it if they let me. They don't let me. That's probably intentional. But I mean, if they needed me, I'd be a ringer. Now, for their all-stars, my friend Carolyn does all the voice work for the all-stars. So I'm still kept in the loop, and I go out to the field and I get my picture taken with the players and, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's really fun. So, and now I've been able to be connected with the person who does all of the marketing for that little league. And so now I have a tree because they planted a bunch of trees, because that was also a thing, is shade. These fields were on no shade land. And so they got a bunch of trees planted, and we were able to get trees. So I got a tree planted in my name as well. So it just kind of sprouted from there. See what I did there? But that was my network, and that relationship that I got, that I did the cart this year, 2017 was when Kate and Kevin bought their house. And it's so 9 years ago is when I started that. So also, Pat, remember, it will come back because that was 9 years ago, right? So does that help, Leon? Does that help kind of answer your question? And reach out, right? The people are hungry for assistance. And it doesn't have to be just you opening up your pocketbook, because our pocketbooks are kind of right now.
Yeah.
Call up your friends who also own businesses and say, if there are 20 of us and each do 1/20th of this, you make this happen, y'all.
That's a good idea. And I'm doing a spotlight. I'm going to start doing business spotlights. I'm
Girl.
starting to do that this week
Yeah.
with one of my friends. And then I saved a cat for Luke Day because we didn't have a Luke event. So this lady who's a cat lady at church was in a bad situation. I won't get into it. But anyway.
Yeah, you saved a cat.
Yeah, one that
very proud of you.
And I drove it, like, but I mean, and it's all good, you know, but I mean, that was a step for me.
You have your own cat story, bless your heart.
It was the cats that drew me in. When Chuck sent that thing out, I said, what is this about cats?
This girl hates cats. She must be a horrid person.
That's really funny that you hate them.
I don't really, but I mean, it makes
No, I understand. I understand. Believe me.
I didn't want to take him home. I
don't like iguanas. I mean, or what are those other things that run around the house that people get?
No,
they're like big
rats. Non-traditional animal. I'm like, and listen, my kid was a zookeeper. Now they are an animal scientist. So I'm like,
oh wow, what does an animal do?
This might be a little controversial, but they work in a lab that does humane animal testing. And so they are the go-between between the tester and the vet. So what happens is they step in when the animal is failing and calls the vet in. And then as soon as the animal hits a certain degree of failure, then they pull the animal out of testing, and the animal goes to live in a resort somewhere. And I mean that sincerely. I don't mean like the rainbow.
Right.
So
okay, thank you. That's good.
Anyway, that's it, you guys. That's all I got. My contact information is there. You can reach out to me anytime. This is something you can obviously tell I'm super passionate about. You will hear more about this. I have more stuff coming out about this because it's just something that I'm like, I literally have to talk about this. If I don't, I'm going to burst. Thank you for letting me.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you,
Bye,
Julie.
friend.
You are
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.